Hello, my name is Guido, and this is my second KSP video that I'm publishing anyway. And as you can see from the lovely pink texture in the background, this is obviously over the surface of Duna, where I'm attempting a well thought out and carefully arranged propulsive landing, as you can see. And now you're wondering, what kind of preposterous landing craft is that, and how the heck did it get there? Well, let's have a look at that, shall we? When I fly missions, I like to take a lot of extra delta V, and as you can see here, I built basically an enormous assembly of hydrogen tanks for this lovely atomic rocket that wouldn't fly straight. No matter what I do, couldn't get it to fly in the right direction, even with the gimbaled engines. So I decided to try a different design, slightly different layout of the ship, but same basic idea. A lot of auxiliary drop tanks, and a lot of big engines. And here's what that got me. Wait for it. Clicked the wrong thing, didn't dial the power up to full, whatever. Takes a minute. There we go. And as you can see, once more, my ship flies in every direction except the one I'm trying to get it to. I have no idea how that is. But this was the second very elaborate attempt. I assembled this thing on orbit, not hyper-edited up there. So yeah, what now? I already used hydrogen, might as well add some oxidizer, lovely drop tanks to get me there, or to crash to the rear of my ship and explode everything. That's also an option. And well, yes, it was. And once more into the breach. If you don't succeed, try again. Here we see the landing craft docking to the first component of the ship. Unfortunately, I forgot to take video of the first launch, but we've got enough Sea Dragons flying here. Here we see a tanker craft delivering the first load of fuel to my interplanetary ship. And now we see how I'm going to avoid my drop tanks crashing into the rear of my ship. I do this by making the drop tanks themselves the rear of my ship. And here's another tanker craft. But before we can put people up there, we have to launch them, and indeed, gotta test the escape system. And that went swimmingly. So, now indeed it's time for the crewed launch. Of course, when I say crewed, that's crewed with a W, not crude with a U. And, well, nothing particularly exciting here, except you're wondering, it has the aerodynamic parachute pack. How can it dock to the rest of the ship? Well, if you look closely at the loop-de-loops at the beginning of this video, you will have noticed that it's going to dock ours first, if you will. And here I'm jettisoning the propulsion system, so if something went wrong, my only chance would be to either dock or to use RCS for retro, which probably won't work. But as you can see, the docking worked. So yeah, let's light this candle. Letting it run a bit faster here, but you can see where the engines are acting. They're actually pulling on most of the mass of the rocket rather than pushing. And here the first drop tank is dropped away. Surprisingly slow, but there it goes. Bye-bye. I was concerned when I built the ship that the engine, the heat plumes from the engines might heat up the tanks, but all of that worked out rather nicely. As you can see, nothing has exploded this far. So, with the initial acceleration away from Kerbin complete, gotta set up a little correcting a maneuver to make the orbits go planar and get to Duna proper. And here we say bye-bye to Kerbin. So a little time warping, a little of this, a little of that. And boom, that's our approach orbit to Duna. So now it's time to get ourselves into a circular orbit around Duna, from which we can arrange a landing. The bigger grey orbit you see now was another drop tank, by the way. Here I am, arranging the ship normal, or rather anti-normal, to make docking easier later. And well, okay, we're not going to do it quite like that. Let's have a closer look at the entire landing procedure. So first and foremost, detach from the mothership. Bye-bye. And the tail end of my landing craft looks rather nice, I think, with these 7 big bad engines. Those are the high impulse space shuttle main engines, by the way. And I'm using trajectories, and trajectories won't work right for me, so I have to use a workaround. But the workaround worked. Here I am on my retro burn. Gotta pull in the solar panels and put the fins out. Perhaps even the Norwegians. Now I'm using landing aid and vertical velocity control because I am a lousy pilot. And here we are going down. Well, nothing much to say about that except nice optics. And whoops. Yes, sorry. Yes, it's a victory loop. It's quite intentional like that, obviously. It's not like I managed to mess up even with the automatic piloting. But as I said, I like to bring along extra delta V for any flight, including this landing, and as you can see, that's not the worst idea. So, yep, it was quite hard actually, quite a bit of fiddling. On I go, down. Oh, yeah, careful, right. Not much to say about this for a moment, just enjoy the view, stand at the landing legs. I like those shepherd legs, the functionality basically, just don't like the lack of feet. Is it just me or are they lacking feet? Well, whatever. Very slowly approaching the Duna surface. Really very slowly. Gotta be careful with a huge landing craft like this. And contact light. Here we are. Yay, we did. When you fly to Duna, you obviously have to do an EVA, because I'm mostly interested in the flight itself, only one, and that was scary. Almost got stuck there between the solar panel housings. And it's a long way to the ground. A long way. Okay, gotta put up a flag. So that's that. I'm done with Duna. It's mostly about the flight for me. It's about the journey, not about the goal. Almost fell down there. Lucky. And, oh, let's get ready to go back home. And off we go. The idea is that I'm going to take these external tanks along for a bit until I'm high enough to actually drop them, because I've tried just launching out of the middle and that does not go well, generally. And what the? That's not good. I have absolutely no idea what exploded there, honestly. As you can see, no obvious damage. And the drop tanks even separate cleanly. Make a nice pattern, actually. So, on I go. Here you can see the reason why I'm using the aerodynamic parachute pack on the nose. because a rocket even in Duna atmosphere should be aerodynamic. I muddled up the tank flow priorities there a bit. Nothing I can't fix with fuel balancer later. Though right now what concerns me is that the RCS keeps firing. Okay, two problems. One, the RCS is firing. Two, accelerating towards the target right now means accelerating towards a crater to be, which is rarely a good idea. So I have to do some manual correcting there. And clumsy, I've said in my last video, is a state of mind. So even though I've cut out the acceleration at this moment, I still have to figure out what the heck is going on with the RC. Oh yeah, I should switch off the landing system when I'm taking off again. Probably a better idea generally. But as usually, take along some extra delta V and everything will be fine. Now you can imagine what comes now. Get to orbit, align orbits, or synchronize orbits rather, and get to a neat and convenient rendezvous from which to dock. R's first, as it were. Now I'm going to do some acceleration again. Now comes the usual: circularize orbit, synchronize orbit, extend solar panels once you're far enough from the atmosphere. And here we go. Make all nice and coplanar. And this is a bit extreme, I know, but extra delta V and whoops, I got into the atmosphere there. R's first. That's not usually good, but it works. Extreme Rsing about to get back to the mothership. And whoa, the mothership is in heat. I probably should have turned off at least 2 of the 3 nuclear reactors I've got on board there. That would have been better. Here I'm clearing the docking port. Had the decoupler there earlier. Again, go away propulsion stage. Of course, this time the risk with or without the propulsion stage is about the same, because if you can't dock, you're not getting back to Kerbin, and re-entering into Duna atmosphere here is no help to nobody if something were to go wrong. So the R's first button, and mix up normal and anti-normal once again. Now you're going to get a look at my retro block. It's a fuel tank with 4 high impulse engines. Earlier there was the decoupler on there, which in turn had attached the landing craft. And here we go, nice and smooth docking. And oh, come on. Boom, yeah, that's the one. Now that we're docked, we're probably not going to take off right away anyway, so the ship should have some time to cool down. And ooh, well, I brought along over 5 years of life support, so that shouldn't be much of a problem. And indeed, after Class C, the ship is cooled down, and here we go, back to Kerbin. The drop tanks will be doing what the drop tanks were doing before. And any moment now. Come on. I'm actually quite chuffed with how well this worked. This is not really a ship suitable for assembly with anything smaller than Sea Dragon. I can't see how you get the engines pointed in the exact direction if you assemble it from smaller bits. Now I set this maneuver up with Astrogator, so should have a nice rendezvous with Kerbin. Just a little bit of correction I do. No, a lot of correction. Something didn't work out there at all. Right, before we time warp anywhere, let's make sure we have enough life support on board. Like I said, it took over 5 years along. Have a look at the tanks also. Everything looks nice. My crew's nice and happy. Let's make sure that they don't asphyxiate. Oh, unexpected that. In the past, those would be consumed on flights I've done earlier with the same parts, but well, it's not a bug, it's a feature. But considering the huge stack of life support you can see there, I don't think it's an unfair advantage. Not really. 3 or 4 year flight with 5 years of life support, so it'll check out. Right, so now here we go to the next maneuver. And let's make sure we get nice and close to Kerbin. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Oh, okay. And that's why I have these enormous Asias thrusters that you saw on the ship for fine adjustment by sledgehammer. Oops. Okay. Well, I'm coming in on a tundra orbit anyway. And here goes the retro burn. So use trajectories again with the work around again to aim me at a nice body of water. And when I drop my service module, I always do that sideways because it has happened to me that my capsule collided with my service module on re-entry, which wasn't fun. Now let's make ready for re-entry. Everything looks nice. Bye-bye service module. Let's wait a few more seconds, a few more kilometers of altitude. I'm narrating this in post-production, if you haven't guessed. And there goes the service module. So let's make sure the heat shield is closer. Something's wrong. Oops. You really didn't. Promise. Okay. Everyone is in the capsule. The nice little helmets. Bye-bye service module. And now comes the part that I like. I like the optics of the balloons. I really do. I know I could come in on a flat trajectory and just use the heat shield. Wouldn't really need the big balloons. But I also like these optics. I really like how this looks. Now, while we enjoy these quite frankly gorgeous visuals, let me give you a preview of what's about to come. The capsule is going to turn more or less vertical in its drop. Then the reload chute, drogue chute will come out, followed by the reload chute triple main parachute. It's going to float gently to the surface of the water, where the flotation devices you've seen around the outside of the capsule will inflate. Now, I'm using comfortable landing, and I know I'm using it wrong. I know those flotation devices should be mounted to the bottom of the capsule, or I guess that's where they're supposed to go, to function as impact-absorbing airbags, but right now I'm just using comfortable landing because I was too lazy to set up other action groups, and I'm not quite sure how I would do that with the opening heat shield, because I needed a decoupler to get rid of said heat shield, and that would get in the way with the docking port in the middle. So right now I'm just using it as a substitute for simply inflating the flotation devices. So that's that for the gorgeous visuals. Thank you for watching. Any comments, suggestions, taunts, or questions? That's what the comment section is there for. I'm quite sure we'll answer them. And that's that. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.